Welcome to
Hypnosis
and Beyond. We're such dorks. I love it. Well, aren't we so excited for our guest today?
I'm thrilled.
What I love is that he is from a third country. So this is a true international interview today.
Absolutely.
We have Mr. Jaden Boon. He is a master stage and clinical hypnotist, blending his expertise in hypnotherapy with the art of entertainment. Over the past 6 years, he has helped countless clients break free from anxiety, trauma, and other challenges while captivating audiences with his dynamic stage hypnosis performances. As the founder of Jaden Boon Hypnosis Academy, he also mentors and trains aspiring hypnotists to master the craft. You can see why we want him on the show. Are we ready to bring him in?
Absolutely.
Hi.
How are you?
Here we are. How you doing?
How did you get interested in hypnosis and your journey to now?
Yeah. Do you want the full story or the edited story?
Anything you want to tell us, we're interested.
Our question.
All right. I always hope this comes off the right way, but this is the best way I can explain it, and this is exactly how it happened. So I went to a show maybe 16 years ago, and I walked into that show as a skeptic. I was like, nope, there is no way that that's real. It's all bullshit. Okay, so I still walked out of that show as a skeptic. Went and saw another show, same thing. I was all bullshit, total skeptic. I was like, there is no way someone can stand up there, go sleep, and can see 20 people just drop and go to sleep. You know, I didn't believe it.
Right.
Anyway, then I went and saw a third show. My partner at the time, she volunteered. She went up on stage and she got hypnotized and stayed up on stage for the total duration of the show. Now, again, this is the part, depending on who I'm talking to, where I leave parts of the story out. And I said, I'm going to learn this one day. And I did nothing. I did nothing for about, I don't know, maybe 13, 14 years. And then I got to a point where I was very depressed. That relationship broke down. I was very depressed. I was very miserable. I was a smoker at the time. And that same hypnotist put up a post on Facebook, I don't know, maybe 6 months, a year later, saying that he was going to do a stop smoking group session with everyone. I went along, paid the money, and walked out of there and touched a cigarette since. And here I am 6 years later, you know, doing the same thing myself. So, yeah, it's through that led me down this path.
How do you start a show where you're going to make people do things that they have no idea what they're going to do? Do you choose the participants? Do you watch for certain traits in people? How do you decide who comes up on stage?
Well, firstly, just going back to your point, you saying they don't know what they're going to do. How do you know that? They might have seen some YouTube videos or seen a show or been to a show. Sometimes they might know what they're going to do, but as you said, majority probably wouldn't have a clue what they're going to do. But again, I don't pick anyone. It's all voluntary. It's 100% free choice. I don't pick on anyone other than when I'm making a joke or I'm trying to make an example of someone, especially if they're in a participation show and they're not participating. I'll sort of make a mockery of them because it's like if they don't want to participate, it makes others not want to participate. But it's all free choice. I simply just ask for volunteers. I put it out there. I come out, do my pre-talk, speak to the audience for 5 to 6 minutes, and then I just simply say, hey, if you want to be a volunteer, if you want to come and be a star of the show, if you want to come and learn how to use your mind in a new and different way, you want to come up here and have some fun and really let your true personality out, come and take a seat. And then I just play the song and then fill the chairs. You
have a lot of comedy in your shows. Am I right? Because I've seen that under signage and what have you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a comedy show, regardless of if the hypnotist does the comedy or you're using the people to create comedy. I would still consider a hypnosis show a comedy show. You're going there to laugh and have fun.
We hope so, yeah, for sure.
You hope so, exactly, and that's the thing, right? It doesn't appeal to everyone, but for the majority, they absolutely love it. And I get a lot of positive feedback from my shows.
Have you ever accidentally found a fear or a phobia on stage, like in the moment where you had somebody do a bit and all of a sudden it turned out they were scared of yellow spoons or something?
I've had plenty of people up on stage that have pet snakes and grab it off me and they take it and they love it and they just want to pat it and hold it. And then you get other people, like a show recently where I had a lady snatch the rubber snake off me. She tied it in a knot and threw it across the room, you know? And it's like, like some of those things you just wouldn't imagine. I have had people kick my hand and the snake's gone flying out of my hand. So yeah, I guess until you really put people in one of those positions where could potentially get a fright or be scared, you wouldn't really know what they are scared of.
Very cool. So you're also a clinical hypnotist. And so we were wondering, do people come to you from going to the stage shows? Are you really? Wow. So people aren't feeling like they kind of make the crossover and they have that rapport with you, which is so important if they come to your show,
100%, right? And then, like in a show too, especially, it gives them the opportunity to see it for themselves. You're here in the audience, determined for yourself if you think it's real, if you think it's fake, and if you would genuinely think it's going to help you. And I promote therapy a lot through my shows. I do therapy in my shows. I talk about therapy at the end of the show. And I also say to people, when they come to a show, I say, this is not just a show. It is a show and you've come to have fun and have a good time. But this is also a demonstration on how powerful we are and how powerful the human mind is and how capable we are of creating change very, very quickly. Because like I say to them, 1 minute your friends are laughing, 1 minute they're crying, the minute they're sniffing the person next to them, the next minute they're milking a cow, 1 minute they're sad, 1 minute they're happy. And if we can change people's emotional reactions that quickly, and like I say to people, it happens in a session just as quick. Change doesn't take a long time. Change happens very, very quickly. And that's the beauty of the show, right? It's showing the audience that. And I do it a lot too, as I was saying about doing therapy in a show. I bring out a rubber snake and I pick the person who's absolutely shitting themselves, to the point where they want to get up and run off the stage. And then I literally just, and I mean this in the nicest way, knock them out. And then I go, in a minute, that fear will be gone. You'll feel wonderful and amazing about yourself. You'll look at snakes totally, totally different. 1, 2, 3, wide awake. And they'll be kissing it and patting it and rubbing it around their neck, trying to show the person next to them. And I say to ladies and I say to the audience, I say, ladies and gentlemen, that how quickly as humans change is possible. So it's not just a show, but it's a demonstration. And that's, that's the biggest message I try to promote at the end. Because again, as well, I am trying to pick up those therapy clients and want them to really see that it's not just fun and games, even though it is.
Very cool. The YouTube channel has a lot of those demonstrations and they're very entertaining because I know in my family, snakes are a big issue. So if we had somebody like you to show us that it's really just the emotion, it's not the snake, right? So we're reacting to all of these things. So that's wonderful. Now, talking about all these successes, I mean, are there any times where things just kind of go off the rails and you maybe not go quite the way you thought they were? And for other people who are just studying this, they have to know these things because, that's always the greatest fear, right? That it's not going to go the way you want it to.
Are you asking more specifically show setting?
You know what? Both. Because we're all ears, right? Like you're the experienced one. So please tell us.
Yeah, 100%. Well, like I say to people, and I get it all the time, and I say this in my show as a gag, and it always seems to land. People always say to me, how's the show going to go? And I turn around and I look at people and I go, I've got no fucking idea. Because sometimes things happen in a show that have never happened before. The way people respond, the way they react, some of the things they do when volunteers wake themselves up and they start fucking around with another volunteer, or you deliver a suggestion like, in a moment you're going to forget the number 2, and then they'll remember the number 2, and then the audience will go, ooh. But I use that, like I say to people, I go, the beauty of that happening is that proves how real this is. So all you skeptics out there, or you think that I've bought these people or they're paid actors or they're here just to go along with it, I love it when that happens, because I always use it and I say, look, sometimes things just don't work out the way that you wanted them to. But this just proves how real it is, because if this was fake, they would all be doing it, right? And then the audience respects it so much more. And some other hypnotists, I don't know, they're scared to have that failure or that it's not going to work. But I will literally take that person back out and I will deliver the suggestion again. You'll feel get number 2 this time. It's completely gone from your mind. And usually the second time it is gone. But if they remember it, I go, not tonight, let's pick another one. And I'll sit that person back down and I'll just pick another volunteer. Because again, sometimes, and you might have done the same thing 100, 200, 300 times, it's still different every time you do it. And you never know how people are going to respond. Like even in the last show, I woke a lady up and she goes, "Oh, I'm sweating. I'm so hot. And I said to her, just imagine that you've got a big piece of ice in your hand. Imagine that you're rubbing yourself down. Give yourself that wonderful cooling sensation." And I look over and 4 other volunteers were doing the same. But it's like that suggestion wasn't given to them, but because they were sitting there listening, they took on board the suggestion as well. And it made it funny for the audience. They all started laughing because one lady started putting it down her top and, and it's like those spontaneous things that you never know. Like it's like you couldn't have written that, but it just happened in the moment that sort of made that show. So there's always things that you never expect or don't necessarily go to plan, but it's never been, I guess, and look, I've done 50 shows. It's never been a disaster yet. Touch wood.
Wow. Well, congratulations, because you're giving everybody a lot of confidence from that. I just love your energy and the fact that you don't have the fear. So that's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
And that's not true to some extent. The fear is still there to some extent, but pushing through it, right? And that's what I say to people. So you can be scared and still do it. I get scared every time I skydive, but I still do it. I get scared every time I do a show, but I still do it. It's like we need that level of discomfort because otherwise it would be easy. It wouldn't be fun, But it's like 15 minutes into the show, all that disappears anyway. It's just coming out, getting a feel for the audience, how they're going to respond. And then it's sitting there looking at all the people studying them. Who's gonna do the show? Who's gonna be the best? Who's really gonna perform? And that's where I guess the uncertainty is. But after that, all that fear disappears. But there is some level of fear, which is healthy,
Yeah.
Very cool. Oh, you just mentioned skydiving. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how that relates to what you do as a hypnotist? Does one feed off the other, like that adrenaline rush and, you know what I mean, getting yourself kind of in that state?
I mean, sort of. I've always been an adrenaline junkie, though. I'm always chasing, I guess, that next thing. And skydiving really does do that. But it's shit scary. It is. It's shit scary, but it's fun, And there's no fear like it. It's the craziest thing. I've done 6 jumps now, so yeah, it's just I don't know. The novelty never wears off, and it happens so quickly. You're in that plane for half an hour, and you're in the sky for 5 minutes. It's all over very, very quickly. But yeah, it's just taking on board that fear. It's like in that time where you should be you actually feel the most free.
So who you are today and where you were when you started this, what have you seen in yourself, the benefits of this whole journey of hypnosis? And
massively, massive compared to where I was 7 years ago. I was trying to take my own life, and I don't mean that, lightly. It was a rough place. I was very depressed, very miserable, very anxious for many, and a smoker for many years of my life. I didn't believe in myself, and and again, I say this every show. It's through all this in my life change, even public speaking. Right, I hated it, and look, to some extent, I still do hate public speaking. I don't, but I do. If that makes sense.
I don't believe that. You're doing an amazing job. So.
Yeah, it's just like I say, it's the same with the shows. It's just that initial 10 minutes getting a feel for the people, they're really taking on board. Do they care what you have to say? Things like that. But yeah, I mean, hypnosis has dramatically changed my life massively. And I bang on about it all the time, and that's why I am so passionate about it. And same as those shows. Because again, and I say this at the end of my show, I say, ladies and gentlemen, this wasn't just a show, this was a demonstration on how powerful we are. And I say hypnosis absolutely changed my life. I was depressed, miserable, anxious. And I said, and if you're looking for something powerful, just like you see these guys tonight, how quickly we can change, this could be the tool for you. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but if you feel like you can benefit, you like what I had to say, you think I resonate with you, then come and see me, And I talk about that message all the time because it's like, if people are suffering, you don't have to suffer. But sometimes we suffer for as long as we need to until we make that change,
Amazing. So are there specific techniques that you use in your clinical hypnosis? Like I know that we met at Karl Smith's masterclass at Hypnothoughts, and I know you said you're a fan of his. What are the top methods, modalities that you use within hypnosis to get the change?
Yeah, it really depends on the session. I have no idea until the session's sort of here and we're going through it. But most of the stuff that I probably do use would be, I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy here in Australia, Scott Jansen. He does advanced conversational hypnosis. So yeah, I use a lot. I do also use Karl Smith's emotional detox a lot, which is absolutely fantastic. It's been an amazing resource to the world, not just for me, because it fucking works. And that's what I say to people. There's no one way to do it. There's a million ways to do it, and you've got to find what works for you. So usually conversational hypnosis, the mind detox. I like to do the Swan a lot. If you're familiar with Bob Burns, I love the Swan. Timeline therapy, regression to cause. And again, until I'm sort of in that session, I don't really know what I'm going to do or what's going to happen. I feel it as I go along, but they're probably the main go-to things that I would use.
Amazing. And I just wanted to share with the viewers that when we met at Karl Smith's masterclass, you told me that you had taken the benefit of all the YouTubes that he puts out there for free. And yet you were still there in the class. You paid for the class, even though you knew a lot about the material, because that just told me keep putting it out as when you're starting out, because it comes back to you. And that was such an amazing story for me to hear, and that you were there to support Karl. It all just is a big circle.
Yeah, totally. And for those of you who are familiar, Gary Vee talks about it a lot all the time. You know, he gets in trouble from his team saying, why do you give it away? Why do you give it away? Because it's like with anything, the more you give it away, the more people want to give it back. And that was, as you said, you were there for that prime example of it, and you actually got to see it. And I said this to Karl so many times, we literally bonded from the minute I walked in. And he was the first person that walked across, and I was like, Karl Smith, I know you, but you don't know me. And then that was it, right? Because, yeah, again, he posts a lot of content. He's put himself out there and continuously pumped out the stuff on YouTube. And like most people who came across Karl, be a global asset, not a village idiot. Oh, yeah, and I did. I sat there and watched every video, and I consumed all his content. And then, yeah, as we knew, he was going to Hypnothoughts, and I was like, this is the opportunity to just finally be in a room with him and learn a couple of extra things that might not have been on YouTube, or, you know, just to, you know, see people in the flesh and actually be there. I was part of that. So it is amazing when people are happy to put their stuff out there. They just come back.
And I love how you said that right away you bonded immediately, because there's so many people like at Hypnothoughts. There's a lot of different types of hypnotists, and it just shows you that we connect with different people and that everybody has their unique approach, right? So the demographic or the people that you would attract, is it all kinds? Is it across the board? Like, give us an idea of the clients that you get through your relationship.
Yeah, honestly, it is quite across the board at the moment. For a while there, for whatever reason, I was seeing a lot of middle-aged alcoholics. So, I should be more specific. It was women, middle-aged women that were alcoholics for whatever reason. So I was seeing a lot of those. So that's sort of changed a bit. Now I seem to be getting quite a few kids, anywhere from 13 to 17. And then a lot of the age demographic of my age, you know, 30s.
Excellent. So you're open to taking everyone, really. You don't have a niche that you've advertised?
But like with anything, you have a niche, but you'll still see people for other things. So they message me and they go, hey, can you help with this? I go, of course I can. But mainly, you know, like same as Karl, I put myself out there as anxiety, depression, trauma.
Amazing.
But it's up to them, you know, do they want to let it go? Are they ready to make that change?
Absolutely.
Because it's like same as on stage, right? 1 minute they're laughing, 1 minute they're crying. Same as these people, right? 1 minute you're depressed and miserable and this trauma's hanging over your head. And I go, in the next minute, that can fucking all be gone.
What percentage of your business model for yourself is your clinical practice and your shows, your performance?
Yeah. Look, it's a very different show demographic here in Australia. Currently, I see clients Monday to Sunday. Not meaning that I work and I sit here near 7 days a week with clients, meaning that if clients need to book in on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'll see them on weekend. But generally, I do see clients Monday to Sunday, depending on the time. I won't sit here back to back with clients all day, every day. No way. I go insane. I love it, but I don't love it that much. I generally only see 2 to 3 clients a day, only because sometimes my sessions really blow out in time. You know, I'm not one of those people like a psychologist where it gets to 59 minutes and they're kicking people out the door. I'd rather sit here and spend the time with them in the office. So I allow that time aside. So I mean, what is the percentage? I know what the percentage would be, but I see clients all week and then I do shows. I pretty much got a show every weekend of the year. So it's either usually a Friday or a Saturday and a Sunday. Because currently, like I only started performing, I did my first show 2021. And so I guess I'm still in the process of building it. And right now, and Australia is more like this than somewhere like America where it's in schools and fairs and all that stuff. So my shows at the moment, I would say probably 98% of them I four wall, which means I email the venue, I hire the venue, I pay a higher fee, and then I sell the tickets, and then I take all the revenue from the tickets, which leaves you potential to make more money, but it's more work. You have to promote, you have to Facebook ads, you really about that to fill the rooms, which I don't have a problem. It's been working for 3 years now, and I love it. And going back to before, percentage-wise, what ideally would I like to do? Look, to be fair, I got into this to be a showman and do shows. I'd love to do more shows, and I'd love that to take over completely. Look, not to the extent of I want it to take over completely. I still want to see clients, but I would be a lot more picky and choosy. I still love helping people, and I know how powerful this stuff is, seeing the changes, and I love seeing that transformation when people just open their eyes and go, holy fuck, or what was that, or shit, I feel different, or God, I feel light, or it really makes you feel good to know that you made a difference. I still think back to when that first person helped me, all that shit, when I went from being depressed and miserable and my life changed in 6 hours, and that's only because it was a weekend thing and I was there with 20 other people. But
Do you do shows regionally just in your area? Do you go internationally?
I'll go anywhere. If someone will have me, I'll go anywhere. So if I get an inquiry or whatever, I'll always quote the job. I don't have a strict area or anywhere's too far to travel, but I'll go anywhere. I'll go international, I'll go anywhere. Pick me, pick me, pick me. I love it. It's a lot of fun, you know.
The other question I had was whether your show would change. Do you feel that humor varies from place to place? How much does where you are affect the jokes you would do and all that?
Yeah, definitely. Look, to be fair, I haven't come across that yet. Look, I think it's like with anything. If you can build a good relationship or good rapport with the audience and you have a good show, you're always going to be fine. And again, and I mean this in the least cocky, egotistical way. I've only done 50 shows, but so far, so good. It's like with anything. Sometimes a joke will get a little chuckle, and other times people will absolutely piss themselves. Of course, there's going to be a difference in reactions, but it would be totally different if I came to America and did a show there. The Australian humor, some of my jokes probably wouldn't land, and again, you'd have to do a couple of shows to really test that and find your spot. But here in Australia, we're all pretty versed in the humour, you know. And I've always been told that I am quick-witted and humorous. I have always had that. You know, as Rich Guzzi always talks about, having the it factor, having personality, you know.
I'm also interested in hearing a little bit about your academy that you've started.
Mm-hmm.
Are you training stage hypnotists? Are you training clinical hypnotists? Is it a little of both?
So currently I'm not training people in stage. So originally I was of the model where I wanted to train new therapists that really wanted to get into this, but I'm starting to pivot now. I want to train therapists that are already doing it, that are struggling, are stuck. They want to learn something else. I don't know, they want to learn rapid, instant. They want to learn how I do it, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. It sounds a little bit like one of the things you like to do is coach, because those are people who already have some of the basics and just need a little more either confidence or different skill set.
I love teaching people this stuff. So I remember back to how scared and how shit I was when I first started. And if I can give someone a little bit of advice or do something to help them, yeah, it makes you feel good, 100%.
Jaden, I'm going to ask you our silly subconscious question. And the question is, if you could be an animal for a day, which animal would you be? And why?
I've got two answers. I would either be a monkey or a dolphin. I've always loved dolphins. Very, very majestic. But in saying that, I absolutely hate sharks. So maybe if I was a dolphin, I might like sharks a bit more, or I might learn how to swim faster. I'm not sure which.
Right. As you know, our show is Hypnosis and Beyond. And when we say beyond, we want people to share a piece of them that maybe everybody might not know.
I do quite a bit of drone photography. So yeah, fly a drone around and do photography with that. Absolutely love photography.
Cool.
It probably might even reflect in some of the show content. I mess around with photos a bit. Love hiking and forward driving as well. Forward driving, camping, hiking, photography, traveling.
Nice.
Too crazy.
At least that you're not going to reveal right now.
Yeah.
That is.
You won't reveal any dark secrets. Look into the eyes, not around the eyes.
Right. Exactly. Well, we would love for you to plug away, direct people. How can people find Mr. Jaden Boon?
Yeah, you can find me on all forms of social media. YouTube, you can see it on the banner. Yeah, people can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can go to my website, jadenboonevents.com. All my shows are listed.
Great. Okay.
Well, people can get in touch with you and you'll come to any country, right? If the price is right and the offers are right.
If they'll have me, if the laws are right, if we can get whatever it is that we need to make it happen, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming to meet us today.
Thank you so much, Jaden.
No worries at all.
And with that, what do we always say, Jen? Over
and out.